really weird.
Yeah.
What's a juicy boy? Is he like just wet all the time? But really, is it juice? It's the stuff of wet, I guess. Yeah, I could do better if you want. It's funny, my dog started to bark immediately when the show started.
Your dog's a bastard.
Yeah, my wife is home, supposedly keeping the dog from doing these things, but I guess not. And I'm also trading a Pokemon right now online with Broccoli. Broccoli from Twitter. He's giving me a Deoxys. I'm so excited. It's my 4th Deoxys.
Why have you got so many Deoxys?
I think they're great.
There's only 16 of them in the world.
They were pretty rare for a while there. One of the weirdest things I've done is, and I might have told you this already, I pretended to be 2 children of different ages that were siblings. I guess I haven't told you about this.
No.
There was Deoxys was a rare Game Boy Advance era Pokemon, event Pokemon. And they never really did an event in the United States, and I'm desperate to have this Pokemon, like thinking about it late at night, can't sleep, like twitching and pinching myself and being like, I want it, just jonesing out for Deoxys. I don't know why. And in England, in the United Kingdom, you could mail your cartridges to Nintendo, and they would put Deoxys on it and mail it back to you. Game Boy era, Yeah. But they wouldn't do that for people who lived in the United States. So I got my weird uncle who sounds like Boris Karloff, who's married to the aunt who's like, no rules, do as you please. I had never talked to him before, but I was like, if I use your address for some Game Boy cartridges, and he's like 80, he has no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, long story short, I mailed them to the United Kingdom, but I thought they might catch on. They might figure out that I'm not for real. Because I don't know, I just was paranoid. So I wrote letters to Nintendo as children with bad handwriting and did drawings of Deoxys, one with crayons for the 5-year-old, and then the 12-year-old was a little better but couldn't draw a straight line very well, and was like, we just want you to know we love you and thank you. And so they'd be too blinded by child love to be suspicious of my American ways. And I got the Deoxys. That was my first Deoxys. 2 of them.
You blinded Nintendo with child love.
They often get blinded by loving kids.
Let's keep saying it. Let's definitely do that. Why did you get 2?
I wanted all I would have sent 5 if I could.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, I just want all
you should have been punished with none. For that grade, that is like that old fable, that old children's tale we learn as kids about the dog and the river.
I don't know that one.
The dog has a Game Boy cartridge in its mouth, and it looks in the river and thinks, that dog's got a Game Boy cartridge. It sees its reflection. And the dog looks in the river and says, that dog also has a Game Boy cartridge with a Deoxys on it. I'm going to get his one as well, and then I'll have 2 Deoxys. And then he opens his mouth to get the Deoxys out of the other dog's mouth, but because it's in a river and it's his own reflection, his Deoxys falls out of his mouth and lands in the river.
No,
and that
I just
dog,
get another Deoxys now.
That dirty dog got that dirty, filthy, sexy, bald dog, Jonathan, got no Game Boy Advance cartridges and no Deoxys. And you, like Fat Cat off the Rescue Rangers, greedy capitalist, have 4.
I do. I had 5. I did give one to a guy who gave me a Genesect.
Was the person you gave it to a 9/11 first responder? Because that's the amount of karma you need to get back for lying to Nintendo, the most honest corporation in America and England as well a bit, lying personally to Reggie Fils-Aime's face and little Shigeru Miyamoto, who he is innocent, he knows not of the sins of the world, and stealing and getting more than your fair share. There's only 16 deoxys in the world, and you stole 2 of them.
Well, they're not real.
You are as evil as Penny
hi.
Arcade kickstarting a podcast.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
I mean, just
segue.
purely evil.
That's unbelievable. I am.
Oh, shocking!
You don't need Penny Arcade. You don't need that many deoxys to record a fucking podcast. Stop asking for deoxys, Gabe and Tycho, brah.
So it's Gabe and Tycho that are asking for the additional money? I'm just catching up on this.
I
now.
don't fucking know.
Yeah, they're trying. Well, they used to do a podcast back in the day, which I really liked.
It was good. I used to listen to that.
Very enjoyable. I listened to it all the time. Downloadable content, I think they called it. And they haven't done it for years. It was one of those sort of sporadic, you'd get one, and then you'd get one a few months later, and then they just gave up on it a few years ago because it was never getting done. And now they're kickstarting it to fund it.
It was very good. But, I wouldn't say...
It's a podcast if I were the sort of person who were inclined to pay for podcasts, I would pay for.
I wouldn't.
I totally understand that.
I wouldn't. I'm not a Hmong.
But I'm not the person who's inclined to pay for podcasts.
Hmong.
So...
I don't know. I've said this already. I literally don't understand today.
It has been pretty insane.
That whole thing, the whole Penny Arcade Kickstarter for their podcast, has changed today. It used to be Wednesday, now it's like Fumpfen Frowden Day. It's just a new kind of day, because I don't know how to react to this.
I'm really... God, I hate... every time I agree with Ben Padden, I die a little bit inside.
Ben Padden, for people who don't know, made quite a name for himself for a little while as being one of the first people to get a lot of attention for saying that video game journalists are bad. He was in the right place at the right time because he touched on something a lot of people were feeling.
Oh, yeah. Others came before him. Others will come after, but he Angry Birds to that shit.
Yeah, he did a really exceptional
he
job.
Got right in.
And he's on Twitter right now and talking about this Kickstarter. And I don't have a problem with the Kickstarter. I think the Kickstarter's fine. They make a product. They're offering the product. They're putting it in the place where you offer new products and say, hey, fund this and we'll do it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter that they're rich. I don't give a shit that, if they're rich or not. I don't know how much money they make. I don't know how much of a cost to their bottom line taking the time out to do this podcast weekly would be. I don't know their inner workings. I'm not going to judge that. It's if they feel like they need to kickstart it and people are willing to pay for it to be kickstarted, that's great. And if they aren't, then they don't do it, and that's fine too.
You make a good point, but you are, if I may be perfectly blunt, a libertarian at heart. I am a woolly liberal. They're rich. Fuck them. That's the opinion I'm being told to have.
Well, it's like, I don't see how they're harming anybody. And I've seen some argument like, it draws attention away from other Kickstarters. But
what?
I don't know if you've been paying attention lately to Kickstarter, but it's entirely a marketing-driven affair. And it's not that they're drawing attention away from it, they're drawing attention to their own Kickstarter, just like every other Kickstarter does.
I think they're drawing attention to the self-parody that Kickstarter's kind of become. I mean, we had the Veronica Mars thing, we had that other thing they're kickstarting that a millionaire is asking for people's money to do. I do agree with you. It's not a scam. People are calling it a scam. It's clearly not a scam because we know what they're doing. We know who they are, and we know what they want. That's not a scam. It's not like they're going to take the money and then run away. Right. So it's clearly not a scam. Is it galling? I don't know. I mean, this is where I'm caught between that. I make a joke of it being a liberal. I am very, more often than not, more of a centrist kind of guy. So I'm kind of caught between that, seeing millionaires ask for money, or, rich people ask for money, kind of makes me feel a bit queasy. But
You see, it's not even like a political, like, even financial thing. It's a social thing for me. If this succeeds, people deserve that. It's their own goddamned fault.
Well, that's the other thing. That's where I say I'm on the censor, because I've got the queasy bit, and then I've got the other bit where it's like arms are not being twisted, money is being given freely.
Yeah, it's the same complaint that I have about people bitching about like Electronic Arts. In fact, I was having a conversation with some people in the Podtoid Facebook group, and somebody brought up Electronic Arts as, being this exploitative company. And I think we need to be very clear about the word exploitation. It's not inherently bad. It merely means to take advantage of a situation. That's all it is.
Yeah, they're still twats though.
Well, they can be twats. That's fine. They can be twats, but they're offering an opportunity for people to buy products that they don't need at all. Sure. They're not, nobody's getting sold into slavery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've made my points of about EA in the past. About I don't think
it's a similar situation.
I think EA's thing goes beyond that, and has some other industry affecting things that they do, but
again, that's our own goddamn fault for not thinking rationally about these issues and addressing them as a in mass. It's our fault for those of us who are smart enough to think about these ideas and to actually have those thoughts that, oh, this could be damaging. It's our fault for not getting the message out broad enough, and I don't know how we do it better yet.
We could ask for some loudspeakers on Kickstarter. $10,000 worth of loudspeakers just march around the cities, just shouting, "EA is bad. Don't buy their microtransactions, please."
But I mean, I have to accept a certain level of responsibility there, because I think it's our role as enthusiast journalists, writers, critics. It's our responsibility to shine a light on the sorts of issues and get people thinking about them and moving in a direction that's positive. And if we see things moving in a direction that's negative, we should be shouting from every possible rooftop to change that. And if it doesn't change, then you did what you could. But
I'm not taking responsibility for this. I've done my best. I get people telling me to get over it. That's my reward. That's my Valhalla.
But everyone has a role to play in it. And if something goes tits up because the mass market didn't spend enough time thinking about it, then we need to do a better job of getting the mass market to think about it.
Quite possibly. I think we do our best, at least us lot. I think we have our firm opinions and we spout them all the time. But I don't know, as far as this Penny Arcade thing, maybe it's intentional on their part. I mean, the $10 goal does seem like they're just trying to point out the bullshit that Kickstarter can be, or how easily people will jump on a fad, or there's some joke to be made. I know.
To a certain extent, also, it could just mean, hey, we're going to do this. It's just a question of how much you want us to do this, how far you want us to take it. That's another way to look at it.
It could be. To be honest, my natural reaction was to just laugh out loud. When I saw it, I kind of looked confused for a second, and then my body made the decision my brain couldn't, and just burst out spontaneously laughing. And I think that's the best reaction.
I can't truck with the opinion of people who are like, oh, they have the money, why kickstart it? Because you never invest your own money if you don't have to. Yeah, I can't truck with that. You ever heard that expression?
No, I haven't. I like it.
Okay. Yeah, but no, I mean, it's a cliche in filmmaking that you never make a film with your own money. You always find someone else, because only a sucker puts their own money into a film. This is the same thing from my perspective. Why would you pay for it if you could get everyone else to?
Well, yeah, so far, I just looked it up. I hadn't heard about it until we started the show. $25,000.
See?
Already. With 22 days to go. And some episodes may be 20 minutes long. Each episode will be between 20 and 60 minutes, edited for the soul of wit. They wrote that.
Well,
They were
that
like,
means brevity. Brevity is the soul.
oh,
of
sure.
it.
I'm sure there are
Absolutely.
many. We could probably get people to pay us to edit this down to 20 minutes.
I wonder. Oh, that would be a lot of work, though.
Yeah.
I think if we did, people on Facebook were asking why we don't kickstart this, and I think really, for me personally, I it's just fun, and I don't want to like inadvertently place some sort of like monetary value on this because that's just depressing to think that like someone would pay to listen to this
Oh, yeah.
a little bit. I mean, it's just
I, I mean, it would be. This podcast is the equivalent of taking a shit in someone's bedroom,
right.
and I
Say,
couldn't.
here you go.
It's bad enough. It's rude enough that we record this. It's
But then to stand at the door and say, "Hey, I'm gonna need $10 before you come in here and see the shit I took on your."
Every time I press record on the Skype recorder, it's a fresh insult on humanity. And to then ask money for that arduous backbreaking labour of pressing record, and then just talking about Willem Dafoe and Gordon Ramsay for 2 fucking hours. Come
People
on.
like that episode. And people do pay to have people come into their house and poop.
No, I mean, someone on Twitter was like, because I made a joke that I don't know how to react to this, how should I react? And someone said, well, you should point out that people like you record 2 hours of Podtoid a week for nothing. And I'm like, have you heard Podtoid? There's a reason why! But
well, I was gonna, if it's a heavily produced, if it's like a talk radio style segment with great sound and like, fancy editing and music and then sure. But I don't really care who you are. If you just do a podcast where you and your friends talk and you put an intro and an outro on it, it's pretty weird to me to ask for money for that. But if people are willing to pay, I think we should take money. If people want to give us money, then why, like Justin Bieber. Some people do what Bieber does for free. But people decided to pay him, and he said, fine, I'll take the money. And there he is. We could be the Justin Bieber of podcasts.
Yeah, we
just need to start accepting the money.
We're already obnoxious and fucking ignorant. I've been asked before, people have said before, oh, you should kickstart this, you should kickstart that, but personally, just because I'm not quite as amoral as Conrad in life. I have stupid, self-damaging morals in many regards. I should actually, I'm not as business savvy as Conrad, and there's a lot of stuff I take financial hits on anyway that I probably could get money for, but don't. And one rule I've had about, especially with things like Kickstarter, is I will not be asking for money directly from my audience unless it's literally something I would have to hire someone else to do to help me do something, or it's something I literally cannot do with the money I have. Jimquisition, Movie Defense Force, this, everything I do on Destructoid is stuff I can pay for. My only request from the audience is, again, the whole, if you do like our stuff, be nice and consider turning off your ad block. Because that way I make money, which I will then invest part of into my projects. Mm-hmm. I prefer to have my stuff self-sustaining than ask other people to be given money. And that's just my own sense of pride.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like I get behind the concept of getting other people to pay for stuff, but I'm a hypocrite in that I'll never do it. I have this weird. I think maybe it's not that weird, but I have this idea that the things that I make are really only entertaining to me. And if that's the case, why should anybody else pay to make it?
Yeah,
but you give them the option to. I mean, that's the thing. If Penny Arcade had asked for, I don't know, $20,000 or something, but it was very wise of them to set it at $10. And if they had only gotten $10, then they would have to make the show and do it for almost no money. But they're just giving you the option to give them as much money as you want. And people are endeared to those guys. They are like people's parents or something. They're people are very loyal to those two dudes. And they'll just want them to be happy and they just are happy to think about giving them money, even though they already have money, I assume.
Yeah.
Because they are very successful, but yeah, and
I mean,
people
hell,
are happy when they give you stuff, Jim. Give
that
you
is true. I was just going to bring that up. I mean, we've had Podtoid listeners make us things or send us things or buy us stuff off our, wish list on Amazon or what have you, and it's gratefully received. I mean, I get a lot of stuff gifted to me on Steam, which I ignore out of guilt, because I have a Steam review account, which means, I could play most of the things people are gifting me, or if I don't, I should buy it anyway, because I get enough games, So I don't want to decline the gifts on Steam, because that would be rude. But I don't want to accept them, because that would be rotten. So I just kind of ignore them, which is probably worse than either other option. So every time I boot up Steam, it's like, oh, here's Cave Story that someone wants to give you. And I'm like, I've got Cave Story, so I will just ignore this forever. And then live guilt-free. Thank you, that person who gifted me Cave Story that I've never said thank you for months. Thank you. So that's a thing. But if you do want to get me anything on Good Old Games, that would be fine. I don't have a review count there. But whatever. When it comes to me making a product, I invest in it. I make my money back from the people kind enough to watch it, and that's the system I like.
Mm-hmm. And I think your success comes from that. The thing that I'm left with the Penny Arcade thing is people are very loyal to these guys and people love them, but that loyalty, I imagine it may start to fade with packs selling out within hours and a lot of the decisions they've made around that event business-wise getting some bad press. And now doing this just kind of seems like, abusing the loyalty of the fans for profit. They're skating that line pretty well, again, with the $10 goal. They can always back out and say, oh, well, it's not our fault. People just wanted to give us the money. But it makes them look worse to some people, for sure. And to me, it's a little strange that they would do this. Either they're ignorant of the fact that some people are going to think they look terrible, or they just don't care and just want the money. And either way, it's a weird decision, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if you were constantly asking for Aliens toys on every post you did, or if you did a post just about give me Aliens toys, people would like you less and want to give you toys less. But the fact that you're like, if you want to, and you get all these cool toys. That's exactly.
I want to give anything to anyone who asks for it like that. That said, if I get the rights to Night Trap,
oh yeah,
and co-write it with Robert Florence, that's an example of a project I literally couldn't do without needing some form of investment, and that I might consider. When it comes to stuff I do as par for the course for my job, then no.
Sure.
Well, like, I have an idea for a game right now that I've been kicking around, and I'm trying to figure out a way that I can make a scaled down, almost a demo version of it first. Because there's no possible way without a lot of people helping me, and people that, I would like to pay people who help me with these sorts of big projects. There's no way I could do it alone. So I would have to kickstart the larger idea, but I have to first make this small thing and release it. And so there are a lot of good functions for it. I'm with you in that if I can pay for it, I'll just do it myself and get it out the door.
Sure.
It doesn't, I also wouldn't want the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just me doing it and it winds up shit, big deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I mean, I've often been able to hide behind the fact that I've asked for no money from anyone for my things. Like Podtoid, for example. There are still some people who tune in every week and listen to it and are angry that we don't talk about video games enough, or, they don't want to hear my well-reasoned and rational ideas for things to do with Jonathan Holmes' life. And that is a thing. And I tell them that they are not being made to listen, and we are putting it out for free, and then they can suck it.
Yeah, they you know how people are, though. They what they really mean is, I like parts of the podcast and it's better than nothing, but why don't you just make it more for me a little bit?
Yeah.
And I'll get you to do that
Yeah.
by saying this completely sucks and you better respect me and we're. But they kind of like it.
Yeah. And why don't you fuck off? That's my suggestion to them. If you don't like Podtoid, why don't you fuck off? Because we're not Penny Arcade. We have not put a Kickstarter up for this. This is literally something I do for my own pleasure. So why don't you fuck off? I put it out in the public because that also, just the very idea that this piece of shit exists and is out there for the world to listen to, satisfies me. So why don't you fuck up?
People listen to it. Is my understanding.
Idiots.
Quite a few. Yeah.
Many idiots listen to this. Speaking of paying attention to things, Jonathan, I feel I have done you a disservice.
Really?
Yes. Because as you know, I am a follower of your career, of your life, of your path.
Sure.
Not to put too fine a point on it, I walk your path. And I consider myself the president of your flan club.
My flan club?
Yeah, I'm actually the official president of the Jonathan Holmes Flan Club.
What's the flan club?
I'm glad you asked. It's me and a group of about 5 guys. We've got a dry, just recently thawed out pastry crust that we've bought from the store. We put that on the floor. We gather round on our knees and put in there, just at the base of the pastry crust, a cut out photograph of your face, Jonathan. Black and white. We undo our belts, pull our trousers down to our knees, and then reach to the guy on the right of us and hold their penis.
Okay.
And move their penis up and down. And then
like
sometimes...
a joystick?
Like a masturbating another man's penis.
Oh, a masturbating motion.
Masturbating another man's penis, Jonathan. Okay. All gathered around the pastry crust with your face in it, right? And sometimes we lean over and kiss each other, just a bit of deep kissing, while like muttering just Jonathan, Jonathan, Jonathan. So we're all jerking each other off on our knees around a pastry crust with your photo in the middle, just going, oh, Jonathan, Jonathan, oh, Jonathan. And then we all splaff it out, right? All onto it. All of the semen that we got coming out of our penises, Jonathan, come out of our penises and fall in the flan base on your face, all on the pastry. We try and get all of it on your face.
Oh.
Right? Fill it up with cum. And then throw on some mashed up bananas and strawberries.
Gross.
And that's the Jonna flan.
That's terrible.
It's a delicious summer dessert.
No.
Jonna Flan Holmes.
It sounds yucky. It sounds snotty.
Well, you're eating it.
I'm eating it?
Yeah.
I have to eat it?
Dude, we've been making these flans for like months. I've been keeping them in my kitchen next to the fridge. And Pax Prime gonna bring out all the Jonna flans, and you're gonna eat them one by one.
Not in the fridge.
Tastes like fruit and many men's cum.
It sounds pretty gross.
And the treat is like your photo at the bottom.
Yeah, I have to eat a photo of me too?
No, you keep that.
Oh.
It's like when you got like Cheerios or Frosted Flakes, and there was a toy inside the box. They don't do that so much these days. You know,
I'm aware of it, yeah.
here's a Judge Dredd bike reflector. You know, pop that on your bike.
Yeah, those were cool.
Wow, your toys were way cooler than ours.
Yeah, we didn't have Judge Dredd bike
We didn't have
reflectors.
Judge Dredd bike reflectors.
Oh, we got all
Yeah.
sorts of... It was all movie tie-ins towards the end. But anyway, that's a thing.
Oh, Judge Dredd movie. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just assuming that because you grew up in Britain, where Judge Dredd is from and more popular, that somehow like, comic book Judge Dredd merchandise wound up as pack-in items with your cereal.
Oh, no. There was no...
Okay. Yes,
no 2000 AD serial tie-ins, unfortunately.
This is Stallone Schneider Dredd.
Yeah. So in many ways, a cummy photo of you, Jonathan, is a better gift.
No, it's not. No, in no ways.
Jonathan.
I'm curious about being a European. We're talking about Europe today.
No, we're
the
not.
United Kingdom. We could.
But we're not. Because I'm not done.
Gosh darn.
Because the Jonathan is going to be the centerpiece at Gordon Ramsay's Moist Dumpster.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You have, haven't you?
Yeah, what is that again?
That's a restaurant.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, got a new recipe this week. Milk and beer.
Oh, that might be good. Like a frothy...
Get a Budweiser, pour milk in it, stir it up.
Weirder things have happened.
That's quite good, isn't it? I thought it was disgusting. I can't think of two worse things going together. That's the irony of Gordon Ramsay's Moist Dumpster, mate. Bee stings.
What? That's not a food?
That's
an
the other
event?
menu item this week. We roll up one of your sleeves, Jonathan. Right? You stick it in a beehive. Gets all stung up. Then you run out quick while it's fresh and lay that on the table. Customer licks it.
Oh, that's awful for everyone involved.
That's not awful for everyone. We put some lemon drizzle on it. We pour
On
lemon.
me.
Yeah, to give give it that zesty flavour. We squeeze lemon juice all over it. Then we shove it out there and they say, lick that to the customer. Make sure you get the big welts before they get cold.
Oh, you want warm welts with lemon.
Yeah.
That's yuck.
Warm welts with lemon. And then a side of cum.
Oh, not that too. Nobody wants to eat that.
I'm feeling lazy, so I'm just... Every idea and thing I do today is just going to have someone just come on something.
It's a theme.
Might as well.
Undercurrent. Kind of a collective subconscious, as they say, is got semen on the mind. That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what Young said.
Girl, I got semen on my mind.
They haven't gotten to that point yet, have they? They R&B and country like was escalating with horniness. Like, I can tell you've never been this far before. You know that one by Conway Twitty?
The one about having sex with a schoolgirl.
Probably.
Yeah,
As
definitely.
my hand touches forbidden places. Bum, bum, bum.
Now,
That's
your
how it goes.
father's asleep.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Yeah.
Never trust a big butt and a smile. They were escalating, but they haven't gotten to the and there's semen on my lips, and I'm thinking about the times we shared. They haven't gotten to that yet.
We need to do it.
I guess so.
We need to be the new country and western sensation. Conrad's got a moustache. We're halfway there.
That's true. If you put a hat on him and
Yeah?
don't let him talk, then people might think he's a cowboy for a second.
Conrad's got a moustache. You've
Now
got
hold on out
experience.
there. That's just not reasonable.
See?
Sorry, Conrad. I shouldn't have discriminated against you. You don't talk very southern most of the time, though.
Yeah, but together we make one country and western star. Because Conrad's got the moustache. You've got the experience dealing with the mentally backwards.
I guess.
And I'm sexually
And
repressed.
cattle. He was on the cattle drive.
He was on the cattle drive.
I was on a cattle drive once. Yeah,
Together, we make a single country and western superstar.
What do you contribute to the country?
I just said I'm sexually repressed.
No, you're not.
Together, the
Yeah.
the sexual extravagance that I project outward is a mask
That is
for the
depression.
depression.
Really?
Yes, that's me back. That's all my systems backfiring in my brain. All the synapses going wrong. It's very.
Well, I just figured you were repressing it, and that's just all that managed to eke through.
That too, yeah. This is that. What you hear on Podtoid is like 1% of it. Oh god, I was thrown off my track. Taylor Swanked.
Taylor Swamped.
That's going to be the name of us as one country and western gal.
A gal?
Yeah, we're all going to wear Daisy Duke shorts. We're going to wear white and red checker shirts tied up at our tits. And pigtail wigs. And we're going to say, I'm Taylor Swanked, and I'm here to sing about cum.
Do we say it all in unison like that?
Yeah, we come out, we go, I'm Taylor Swanked, I'm going to sing about cum.
We should try that. I don't usually want to do your ideas, but I'm very curious about how it would all sound if we said that in unison. Let's do it on 3. You ready, guys?
My God.
1, 2, 3. I'm Taylor Swamped, and you guys didn't go.
I just wanted to hear you say it out loud.
You knew I wouldn't keep talking if I didn't hear.
I know. I regret having come at the end. I wanted to hear you say come. Next week we'll work on that. But for now, just be aware that at some point in your life, Jonathan, you will be on a stage with a banjo saying, I got semen on my lips. Drinking a bud, watching the big game, semen on my lips, isn't it a shame? Oh yeah, God.
It's still on your lips, even though you've been drinking Budweiser. It's really stuck on there, caked on even.
I take a swig of bud and then I reapply. I take a swig of bud and then I reapply. Jesus.
Could be a hit. You never know. You never know what people are going to love. And R&B, too. They haven't gotten to that point in R&B.
Yeah.
Usher has yet to sing about semen on his forehead and, I can't get it off. Stuck to my body. Caked and caked on, yeah. It hasn't happened yet. Should.
Anybody got a wet wipe? Just need a little discreet swipe. Semen on my forehead, girl. How did it get there? It's not mine. Girl, you're looking fine. Ignore the semen.
He could get away with it. If anyone can get away with it, it's Usher. And that Adam Levine guy. Jeez, The ladies really love him.
There was a thread about us on NeoGaf.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a surprise.
Some NeoGaf readers, this might be their first time listening. Joke's on you.
What could they possibly say about us on NeoGaf? It's a non-story.
It was just a thread about Podtoid.
Really?
Podtoid, a podcast for lovely boys.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't get many replies.
No.
Not many. Got more than it should have, because it got some replies.
Huh.
Which is always more than any, Podtoid discussion warrants.
Sure.
But that was cool.
What'd they say, I wonder?
Some people said it was nice.
Oh, that's good.
Some other people said that it wasn't. One guy said he didn't understand how anyone could listen to my high-pitched, obnoxious, nasally voice.
Oh,
which offended me, because it is high-pitched and obnoxious, but it's not nasally.
I don't think so.
It's reedy. It's disgustingly reedy. Nasally would be all like that. Oh, matron, yes. That's not what
Fran Drescher is nasal.
Oh. Fran Drescher.
Yeah. The Podtoid.
Hi, how's it going? That's nasally shit right there.
Exactly.
That sounds good.
Get my voice right. It is obnoxious and horrible. And also some sympathy, for I am the one who has to hear it more than anyone. Because you think I shut up when people aren't around? No.
And you have to edit your own videos.
Going.
And stuff,
yeah.
too.
I have to listen to it fucking banging on about just practically communist shit when it goes on about EA. Yeah, consumer rights. Oh god, just constantly whining like he's fucking Bert Raccoon. And
Bert
then
Raccoon? Who's
Bert
Bert? Huh?
Bert Raccoon. Then
Who's Bert Raccoon? He sounds great.
that's from a cartoon. The raccoon.
I love Bert Raccoon already. What's he like?
It's a twat.
Oh, come on. His name's Bert Raccoon. He's got to be good.
It was an old Canadian cartoon.
Oh, I can't wait to watch it.
I think we've talked about raccoons on Podtoid before.
I think you have, but I didn't
Yeah.
realize one of them was Bert.
I make several references to it in Jimquisition because I use a picture of Cyril Sneer usually to represent mine enemies.
Right.
So anyway, that's a thing.
And he's from the Raccoons?
He's from the Raccoons. He's an evil anteater.
Oh, right.
He's an evil capitalist. He will chop down trees to make money rather than build trees to lose money. Which is the only correct thing to do, is to build trees under... Like first of all, you put a big bag of all your life savings in the ground and then put a tree on top of that.
Is that how you build a tree?
That's how you are a good character in a cartoon in the 80s.
Did they really build trees on the Raccoons?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, they just had a series of banal adventures. I never got why Cyril Sneer was evil. He didn't do a lot of bad things. We knew he was bad because in the title sequence, he was playing a video game. And the video game was like him, like an avatar on a TV screen, munching trees like Pac-Man. And in the place of the tree, a $sign would be left behind it. So you knew he was evil. Because he was converting trees into money.
That was the thing back then, wasn't it? Anyone who ate trees or wanted money was bad. Didn't matter if they actually hurt anybody in the process.
Oh,
Were the dinosaurs like that too? Why were they bad? The bad dinosaurs. Do you remember them?
That one I don't know.
Oh, the dinosaurs. I'll tell you about it briefly. Post Transformers, post Battle Beasts. They are anthropomorphic dinosaurs. There is one sexy lady dinosaur. I think she's like a pterodactyl or something. And there's like 5 of the good ones, and then 3 bad ones that are just showing up and being like, "Oh, what are we gonna do today?" And not doing anything wrong. They just say it in a intense, angry way. And then I think they'd like arm wrestle, and then it was over. And they had a ship.
Life was simpler back then.
It was, indeed.
Characters were evil for no discernible reason.
It just sounded evil.
And deserved everything they got. Nowadays, everything's got to be complex and deep and have meaning. Skeleton Warriors, you knew where the fuck you were. You see that guy? He's called Baron Dark. Enough said. He's evil. Kill him.
I always mix up the Skeleton Warriors with the Illusionaires. Is that what they were called?
You may be talking of the Visionaries?
Visionaries, that's it.
They're two very different shows.
Did you ever
very
play the
different.
Skeleton Warriors PlayStation game?
To my regret, no. Although I wanted to.
If I still have a copy of it somewhere, and it's possible that I do, because while I did purge a great many PlayStation 1 titles, I don't think anybody would have taken that off my hands.
That bad? I remember
It's
wanting to like it.
wretched.
It's like Rastan or something, right? It's like,
Yes. Well, no, it's not like Rastan. It's like Rastan Saga 2. And we need to be clear there. I love Rastan. Rastan's a great fucking game. And then I was at a goddamn... what was it? What do you call those things? Like a park and swap meet. I was at a swap meet, and I found a copy of Rastan Saga 2 for Sega Genesis, not knowing how shitty it was. Brought it home.
And you swapped your original copy of Suikoden for that.
Oh no! I mean, I was like,
you went very Emperor Palpatine.
Oh,
then.
no.
No.
I was
It
like,
is you who will swap Suikoden. Unlimited power. Sorry, that's how I do swap meets.
I was like 14. I just
Yeah.
walked in, you know. I was just disappointed. I was just very disappointed that they fucked up the sequel.
That is
On
a
the
shame.
it was a home console sequel on the Genesis. I don't know what I was expecting.
Skeleton Warriors is like that.
Yes, it's that bad.
that
It's
is-
that kind of bad.
I've got 2 Skeleton Warriors.
Yeah.
They're on my shelf. I'm looking at them now.
They're big skeletons. I think we might have talked about this before. I don't know how big those dudes were before they became skeletons, because those bones are huge. Those are, you know, like how could you fit a muscle and a face over that? You'd be like I don't know, like a very beach ballish person, I suppose.
Like a mutant. You'd be a mutant.
Well, they're not skeletons. They're not the skeletons that would have been under people.
Right. They are just skeletons themselves.
Each of them have a magic jewel, Jonathan, affixed to their bodies. If you take the jewel off, they turn back into normal people.
Really?
It's not that the skin comes off. I'm assuming that their skin literally hardens and becomes bone.
Whoa.
You gotta
Is that
have
a skeleton man, or are you just a bone man?
Well, I mean, you're a skeleton warrior.
Mm-hmm. I guess that by definition, yeah.
The science of it is very sketchy. It's something I've been trying to work out because, as you know, Jonathan, I've had a long-standing wish for you to become a skeleton warrior.
I was not aware of that.
Ever since I watched that scene in Jason and the Argonauts with the stop-motion skeletons that screamed, I thought to myself, I mean, when did I first see that? I must have been about 3 or 4 years old, saw that, and I thought...
Over 20 years ago, then.
Jonathan Holmes needs to be that. Anytime I see skeletons, I want you to be one. The Lost Souls...
Terrible. That involves me dead.
The Lost Souls in Doom.
Oh, yeah, they're cool.
I'd love for you to have, like, your head be just a skull on fire.
Well, a quick shout out to the guy who did the animation in Jason and the Argonauts, Ray Harryhausen. He died. He was 92.
Oh yeah, recently.
He just died yesterday.
Yeah. So it would strike me as an insult to a recently deceased legend. It would be like spitting on an old man's grave if you were not a skeleton, Jonathan.
But that involves the death of me, and...
No, that's a song.
Oh. It's also a thing that will happen. I will die.
No, you won't. We're not going to peel the skin off you, Jonathan.
How will you skeleton that?
Right. If we just took all your skin off, you'd just be a pile of bones on the floor.
That's a skeleton?
And I am not versed enough in the arts of necromancy to do anything with a pile of bones yet. So we're going to have to go the scientific approach. Okay? I would prefer you to be a Jason and the Argonaut skeleton. Okay, Jonathan? That's just me. One? I would love you to be... Stop motion is scarier than CGI.
Way scary.
So I would like you to be either one of those or one of the ones from Army of Darkness.
Those are pretty good, too.
But...
A few of those are stop motion. Tribute to Ray Harryhausen. I think the one playing the drums.
Yeah. That's not going to happen.
Why not?
Because they're real skeletons, and I can't make a skeleton man from real skeletons. We're going to have to go the Skeleton Warriors route of 90s cartoons. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. I've already gone to the local charity shops. I've asked, old relatives for just old bits of jewellery. I've got some rings, I've got some necklaces, I've got a brooch or two, and I just want to push them into you until we find one that turns you into a skeleton warrior.
I don't think that you will give me an abscess. I will be wounded and infected, for sure.
How about this, right? I've got some badges.
Badges?
Yeah, like badges.
We don't need no stinking badges.
Oh!
That's okay.
Like pins. I've got some Mario ones. I've got some... Badges were all the rage as kids. You'd put them on your school bag, put them on a t-shirt. Everybody knows then that you've got a fucking badge. Okay, so we get them, we take the safety pin at the back, we push them, pull them out straight so that they're facing direct backwards, and then just stick them on you.
No.
It's pretty good. So you're covered in badges, right? They've all been pushed into your supple, yielding flesh. Yielding.
Isn't all flesh yielding to a needle going into it?
Sadly, yes. For now, before the skeletonization begins. To hurry the process along, I've bought some pork chops. They've been set out next to the Jonathan Holmeses. Gonna duct tape the pork chops and the ribeye steak to your arms and legs and the back of your head.
How does that make me more Skellington-ish to be a ribeye steak man? That's not a skeleton man. That's a meat man. Serious.
Reggie me is a meat man.
True.
No. The idea is that you will go about your normal daily life covered in safety pins and meat. And over the course of the days and the years, the meat will slough off as it becomes cured in the sun. Obviously, every time a bit of it falls off, I want you to pick it up, put it in your pocket, bring it back to the restaurant so we can serve it the next night. But my theory is that the power of the many jewels adorning your body, right, mixed with a slow process of meat turning to bone.
On me.
Yeah, it will kind of make something happen.
It will. Something will happen.
Logic dictates, and this is basic science, right? That the more things are stuck together, the more they'll turn into one thing.
What?
We saw this with the famous manga Akira. It's been many years, but didn't he turn into a great big fleshy lump that pulled people into it, or not?
Tetsuo did turn into sort of a giant fleshy amoeba man thing.
Exactly, and I want you to be a giant bony amoeba man thing.
I don't think that's how it worked with Tetsuo, though. He had latent psychic abilities that were released by the Colonel and his little scientist buddy who's got really funny voice acting in the original dub.
Okay, well, while all this is going on, you're eating KFC, and then maybe the Colonel will unleash some psychic energy on you. And obviously, once you're done eating the chicken, you've got the bones, we'll pop them up your ass.
That's not going to turn me into a skeleton.
The ass is the heart of man.
Maybe.
So again, I mean, I just think the more you're around bones, the more bones are stuck to you and stuck in you. It'll sort of merge over years, like how a hermit crab grows into its shell. Although in the hermit crab's case, I think they then just move into a bigger shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't put meat all over their bodies, hoping...
We will get bigger steaks as you get older.
I'm not going to get much bigger, am I?
Oh, then we don't need the bigger steaks. You're already solving problems for us. This is going to be brilliant. I mean, it's going to be fun at first, just to begin with.
No.
Just you're like, I can't believe this. I'm covered in jewelry that's been like pressed into me with safety pins and needles. And I'm covered. I smell of just delicious meat.
No, I don't.
Right?
I smell of gonna be rotting or is rotting meat. I'm bleeding. I'm getting meat into my wounds. The wounds are getting pussy and infected. I'm getting who knows what kind of meat-borne or meat attracting.
You're growing. You're changing. You're becoming.
Like Brendel.
It's like Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis.
That's
which
not
is
good.
the smartest reference Podtoid's ever gonna fucking get. God damn it.
No one wants to be Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis. He's a bug man.
You're gonna be Franz Kafka's Skeleton Warriors. That's what you're not understanding. You're gonna be my bony meat man, and you haven't even mentioned all the flies yet.
I was just trying to get to them, and then I was interjected upon.
That's gonna be awesome.
What? Be having maggots and flies?
Well,
and
I mean, again, and I'm just going off very basic science, right? The more you're surrounded by animals, the more you get a psychic link with them. Like the Rat King in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I will admit a lot of my science is based off things I saw in the 80s and 90s, specifically cartoons.
It's a bad one.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble. I'm not gonna deny that. This is a science, and all science is a gamble. It's all asking questions.
You're on the frontier here. You're pushing the boundaries, and that's the only way we're ever going to progress.
Exactly. Do you think Aristotle developed whatever it was he did just by recording a podcast? No. He went out and experimented. He strapped meat to all sorts of things, not just steaks, not just people. We all remember Aristotle's dog sausage. And then they invented sausage dogs.
What's the sausage dog?
It's like those long
Like-
dachshunds.
A Dachshund. Yes.
Yeah, in Britain we call them sausage dogs, and that's all because of Aristotle. Because he duct taped sausages to dogs, and the two merged over time and evolved, and then we got the dachshund.
But in science, you have a hypothesis that you're trying to prove, and you also have an idea of what might happen if your hypothesis is wrong, if your theory is wrong. Like,
I've got that. Right? The hypothesis is I've watched Skeleton Warriors and reckon I could do that. Okay? That's the hypothesis.
Right.
Right? The hypothesis, if it's wrong, right, the result will likely be I'll be a bit disappointed.
What will happen to me if the hypothesis is wrong? Best case scenario, I become
what's going to happen to you
skeleton man. Yeah?
is
You're going to go down in history.
I'll be
What are you talking
predominantly...
about?
As what?
Right? If this goes wrong, the hypothesis is I will be largely disappointed in you.
It's my
So
fault.
that's what happens to you. If this goes wrong, is you have to deal with me really being a bit fucked off with you. So don't let me down, son.
What am I supposed to do? Just be a bone? I
Become a
can't.
skeleton warrior.
I cannot become a bone.
It's really not rocket science. It's biological science, if anything.
Those guys even wear clothes, those skeleton warriors? Like a loincloth, probably?
Bits of red cloth
And
around
big
there.
boots. I bet they have big, furry Ugg boots.
Shoulder, like,
they had
arm,
big,
shoulder pad things.
big spiky pauldrons. I mean, let's look at Baron Dark. Hold on, let me grab him.
Okay, grab him.
Okay. I've got Baron Dark here. Now, Baron Dark's wearing a very fetching ensemble. First of all, he's got black and grey hair flowing behind him. I don't know what the hair's attached to. Then he's got a skull on top of his own skull. So get one of those, Jonathan. And his jewel is in the skull on top of his skull.
Oh, okay.
Now, his shoulder pads are skulls.
Really?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 skulls on each shoulder. Bearded skulls. And they seem to be tied to his shoulder by their own hair. Big red flowing cape behind him, tattered. Because you're a skeleton man now, Jonathan. Everything you wear has got to be like tatters. In his chest is a skull. And that's got a big long red beard.
Are these skulls of other guys, or does he just have multiple heads?
They're tiny skulls. And they seem to be like just other skulls that have been taken from elsewhere and put on him.
Oh, it could have been like he had tumor faces and then died and then had...
No, they're an adornment. Although his face does look like tumor-ridden for a skull. Like,
yeah. He looks ill. He looks unwell.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing to note is that the skulls on his shoulders and the skull on his chest... I mean, the skull on his chest especially doesn't seem to be affixed to anything. It's just there, like, grafted on. So my theory of things being attached to you, Jonathan, and then just being part of you, seem to be supported by this Skeleton Warriors action figure. So there's precedent. There's proof. Okay?
What is there proof of?
That if we stick pork chops to you, you will become a bone man. On his wrists, he's got spikes. Just little spiky bracelets. They're purple on here, just solid purple plastic. On the box, properly painted.
Oh.
These toys, right, despite
So I'm not going to be as
promising...
good as I was on the box, which is true already.
Yeah, you're going to be mostly solid painted plastic. They're the boots. This is interesting. He doesn't seem to be wearing boots. He's got a lot of fur tied to his shins and calves to give the appearance of boots. But when you look
Uh-huh.
closely, it is just a load of hair, and it looks to be like the same hair on his head. So this skeleton warrior is growing hair out of his own legs. Then he's just got red platforms on the bottom of his feet, and then just more like gold spikes, one on each toe.
It's like he's wearing
Spikes.
sandals almost.
Like hairy, spiky sandals. Now, the bit you were most interested in, Jonathan,
They're like the go-go boots of sandals.
they are.
What?
But I do want to talk about the bit that Jonathan Holmes expressed an interest in, which is the skeleton's penis.
Right.
No, I didn't.
He is covered by the tiniest loincloth I've ever seen.
His penis is covered, though.
He's got this small, tiny little loincloth, like draped over his hip bones and sunk into his pelvis. And I can just see where the top of his penis shaft would be. A tiny little skull.
No, really?
It's a tiny little skull in there. I've never noticed it before.
They put a skull near his crotch region?
Yeah, just a little skull on his skeleton junk.
No way. That's pretty cheeky of them, I think.
They got away with it. The other one, Arachnea.
Is that a spider one?
It's
or
the
a
spider
lady?
one. He's got lots of arms. Not as much clothes, but a way bigger loincloth. So if you're worried about your penis, Jonathan, when we turn you into a skeleton, you might want to get some more arms.
I can't have more arms. I'd love to have more arms. That would be great, but it's biologically impossible. You can't do it.
Is it?
They don't stay on. They just rot away and fall off.
What if we duct tape?
Sore.
What if we duct tape arms to you?
Then they will fall off.
I'll
and
be
rot.
honest. Getting human arms will be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Dog legs.
No,
Right? Here's what we do. Your dog can be in on the fun.
it's not fun.
We get your dog, KK Slider, right?
That's my
Duct
dog.
tape that to your back. And then over time, I assume along with the pork chops, the dog will rot away. And its bones will mend with your spinal column. And you'll have 4 extra arms coming out your back.
It's terrible.
This is... How is this terrible, right?
It's a biological nightmare. You're speaking the
The
stuff.
ultimate plan of this is for you to be a giant 6-armed by that point skeleton warrior commanding psychically an army of flies.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, the amount of flies that will be hanging around you with those pork chops rotting on your arms and legs, you'll eventually develop a kind of camaraderie with them.
That would be nice. I like bugs, actually. Insects are underrated. They're
Yeah.
all right. They just are very different from people. So people think, oh no, but they're fine.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll be doing that.
No, I won't let you kill me, or rot me, or deform me, or human centipede me, or kill my dog, or the flies are the only part that I was like, that's all right, as long as they aren't bitey flies.
If you were my true friend,
Uh-huh.
you would rot for me. You would, if you were any kind of friend, you would become pestilence on Earth.
Oh.
Well then, I had the wrong idea of what we had together.
It is pretty fun when a friend just announces what the new standard for the friendship is, and that if you don't meet the standard, you're so selfish. I told you I wanted to have sex with your girlfriend, and you said that was weird. And all of the friendship I thought we had, just so selfish, just keeping the girlfriend all to yourself. I actually had a friend say that once. And I was like, no, it's selfish of you. It's like, that's exactly what a selfish person would say, thinking about themselves, calling the other person selfish. They call that projecting, just totally serious.
That guy sounds awesome.
Yeah, he was all right.
And he wanted to have sex with your girlfriend.
Yeah, he thought, why not?
Yeah, and why wouldn't you let him?
Because I liked the girlfriend. I was worried
You-
that I would lose her to him.
Oh, so you didn't even ask for her opinion. You just assumed
Oh, no.
for the lady.
He-
Sexist.
It was up to her, of course, but
Yeah, it was.
was wanting me to talk
is
to
she?
her about it for him.
Who is she?
Oh, this is a long time ago now.
Have you still got a phone number?
No, I think
We got to
she
rate
contacted
this wrong.
in circumstances like these, the onus is on you to deliver all offers.
Yeah.
You know,
What?
in the real estate business, that's how this works. You know, if someone makes an offer, you have to take it to your client. You can't just say no because that's violating their rights. They're the one who gets to make the decision, not you.
This is worse than you intercepting her mail. I mean, you literally did intercept a mail that was wanted to be hers.
What? A mail? A mail.
You did. You intercepted her mail.
Did you screen her phone calls as well? Are you controlling? Are you like a Joseph Fritzl?
Just invading. Wow.
Yeah. Did you keep her in the basement for 20 years? And have little white children?
Cleveland all this time?
Oh, we weren't even that close, she and I. He was just like, your girlfriend's pretty hot. You're probably not going to stay with her forever, so let's just cut to the chase.
Do you mind if I
know that I'm interested in sex with her? And
I like his frankness.
He was frank and confident. Yeah.
I respect that. I would have passed that message along. I'm sorry. I would have.
It sounded like he literally didn't think that could go wrong.
It couldn't for him, because he...
Now, I'd have also amended, now I hear he's terrible in the sack, so I probably wouldn't waste my time. But if you're interested in that, sweetie, you go right ahead.
Yeah.
You
can spin it in your favor. You don't just have to be like, hey, babe, dude wants to give you a little old sausage. What do you think? You can couch it in some language that makes it seem less appealing.
It seems
kind of mean. My friend wants to have sex with you. He stinks of shit, but it will be over quickly.
But it suggests to her that I'm okay with it and that I have no sense of connection to her that I value and want to maintain, to say, here's an idea.
This is the 21st century. Sharon, have an open mind. If your girlfriend wants to have sex with your friend, better to be the man in the middle making the transaction than have it go on behind your back.
If she wanted to have sex with him, then we could have broken up, because it was an exclusive dating relationship. Yeah.
Oh, that is very controlling.
She could do it, whatever she wants.
Jonathan, you're unlucky in love, and I am Dr. Love. So I'm gonna help you out, right? With this new segment, Dr. Love talks to Jonathan for a second about girls and sometimes men. That's the full name of it, right?
Dr. Love.
Just remember this helpful advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Better to encourage your spouse to have sex with random men than to look an idiot if she's going to do it anyway.
Better? To what end? Because better implies, to better meet this end.
Here's the thing,
Do it this way. Yes?
Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Some men in relationships are paranoid, jealous, controlling.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfectly healthy and fine, but use it the correct way. Don't tell your other half, and this goes for women as well, I'm sorry. This is very male-centric, but this goes for men, in no matter your relationship, be it gay, be it straight, be it what have you. This is for everyone. I'm saying yes, be paranoid. Yes, be jealous. Yes, do feel like everyone's looking at your other half and they're out to get you and stab you in the back and betray you and spit on your heart, right? Be all those things. That's the foundation of a successful fucking relationship. But rather than, lock your other half away or tell them not to do something...
I've never told anyone not to do anything.
Encourage them to fuck everything. That way, if they ever do cheat on you, you can tell them, ha! I said you could! I said you could! I fucking said it! I win! I fucking win!
You win by saying that it wasn't a betrayal.
I'm the winner! I told you to have sex with everyone! Oh, what? You only had sex with Craig? Just the one? Well, you're the idiot! You could have had sex with 10! So you are the fool! And I am lucky in love! I'm Dr. Love! I got a PhD in feeling fine! While you And Craig!
Stuttering Craig?
Boning!
Yeah. Screw tags. Stuttering Craig.
I'll attack him with screws.
He's really tall.
He's tall and has sex with all my girlfriends.
He probably would. No, I mean not in a bad way. Just
So there'll be more Dr. Love next
No,
week.
I'm sure they'd enjoy it.
He's tall.
He
It's
is
good
a
to have
tall
sex with
man.
tall
You know,
guys.
you know what they say about tall men?
They have sex with my girlfriends.
Exactly.
Yes, more Dr. Love next week. Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
I'm good.
That
I'm
is
way
fantastic.
back.
Moving on.
Oh. Way back in the earlier when Conrad was talking about Rastan Saga 2, I was thinking about how game series can kind of fall off the wagon and lose their power. And it goes along with the Dead Space 3 thing
Why,
that was announced.
do their duct tape pork chops fall off their arms?
No, but we often think that modern series are going to stay going for a long, long time. Popular ones, well-received ones, high-profile ones, but they can die off pretty quick. And from what EA is saying about Dead Space 3, even though critically pretty well received, most of the people I know who played it who are fans of this series weren't wholly disappointed. A lot of people like Dead Space 2 more, but it wasn't bad. But they're saying it was disappointing, and that who knows if the series is going to continue from here, which is weird. Is that weird, or is it me? Because I thought that was weird.
I don't know what they want. Even though they added the fucking cover-based stuff and the co-op and all that shit, they still spent a lot of time trying to market this as a horror game. It was marketed from the very beginning. I mean, it was a bit too little too late with Dead Space 3. From the outset, this is a horror game. First Dead Space, this is a horror game. It was established as a horror franchise. A horror franchise can be successful. It's not going to be fucking Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
So they're disappointed that a horror game did what a horror game does, basically.
I wonder how much money they put into it. Yeah.
Here's the thing that's so fascinating to me is that when the first Dead Space was being first announced, I remember reading a Game Informer, and they were sort of like, the perspective seemed to be that they were kind of bravely taking a risk by creating a new IP and a horror IP at that. It didn't seem to me like they had any misunderstanding of the expectations when the franchise began.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it made pretty good money, but not in the huge money. It did around, I remember reading that it did around the same as Mirror's Edge, but for whatever reason they had more confidence that Dead Space could continue to grow in terms of popularity, and then Dead Space 2 came out, that made more money than the first one. They were happy about it. And then
somewhere along the line, I guess they lost sight of what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. I guess so. I wonder how much money they put into Dead Space 3. It wasn't that expensive looking of a game.
And they said they needed to sell 5 million copies.
Did it look like a 5 million copies gotta sell game?
Well, I mean, it looked fantastic, but at the same time, it's
built
the
off
third
the
of
engine.
the third of 3 games. A lot of the stuff was already in place, so I don't know. But this is, I mean, we saw this with Resident Evil as well. Resident Evil 6. I mean, that sold 4.9 million copies at last count, and they're disappointed because it didn't sell more. And it's like, look, Resident Evil is a huge name. It's a big franchise. It's gonna sell around 4 or 5 million copies. That's good. It's still a horror game, and in the horror genre, that's exceptional.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
But because you thought we'll put more guns in and then it'll be the next Call of Duty, you fucked up, didn't you? You fucking morons.
When's the last time a horror movie was like a blockbuster hit, like did as well as the Avengers or something? I have never.
They don't.
The last Evil Dead, I think, made like 41 million in its opening box office, but it cost 21 million to make.
That's how you do it.
And they immediately greenlit a sequel, and were like, "Thank God we made 20 million," and we're thrilled about it.
There's money to be made from horror. There's money to be made from every genre. So long as you build it with the right expectations, I mean, if you do anything with the right expectations, you'll be a success.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at you want an example of one that was massively successful. You just Saw. I mean, there's a film that's very clearly on the low scale of the budget in just about every respect. I mean, for God's sake, they cast Cary Elwes.
Come on, he's a charmer.
I love him, but how much work do you see him do?
Wasn't that guy with the funny eyeballs in there Ghost Dog?
Like I see him on episodes of Psych, and like that's it. That's all. It's the only thing I've seen Elwes do in years. So, but dirt cheap to make, and phenomenally good box office, especially when you factor in what the net profit is there. Just enormous. Mm-hmm. That is what you do. You make it small and tight because you know that the audience isn't really as big as some of the others. The interest level is going to be lower for a more niche product. And then if you can break through and make something that's you aim to make something that's universally fun, and if it becomes accepted broadly, does far exceeding the expectation of a success within that niche, that's great. But you got to remember what you're working with here.
And don't expect every sequel to make more money than the last. If anything, it's going to diminish.
Right. Dead Space may... I can't help but wonder if when Dead Space 2 came along and did quite a bit better, and it was more action-oriented, if they may have overestimated the genre-spanning success of that formula. And maybe it's just that enough people went back and played Dead Space 1 in used copies that were never reflected in sales for them, so then they turned around and bought Dead Space 2 because they really liked it. And you're really just capitalizing on an audience that primarily just likes horror games.
Well, I hope that these big publishers start to realize that people hit a point where they get the idea, they already have it, and they're not slaves to sequel mentality. They can think, Dead Space 2 gave me all the Dead Space that I want. It was a great time. But I've got a limited amount of money. I want to buy something new and interesting that I don't already have a version of. I don't already have a version of, I don't know, what's been the big hit of this year so far? It's kind of been nothing so far, right?
BioShock Infinite, I believe, has done quite well.
Sure. And BioShock Infinite is not like BioShock. It plays a bit like BioShock, but in terms of setting, in terms of tone, in terms of a lot of stuff, it's a brand new thing. So people were excited to buy it, more so than BioShock 2, which was a little bit too similar to the original for a lot of people. So hopefully they'll wise up to that. Wouldn't you say?
No.
Oh.
It's window dressing. Because they're controlled by the shareholders who don't understand the first thing about the business. They just like the money they see from it, and they want results. And you've got these fucking publishers caught in the middle with their fingers up their arseholes, not knowing what to do anymore.
Well, when you see...
and they want the results immediately, too. They want an immediate reflection of it, because we no longer invest in companies with the idea that over the long term, the money that we put into it will be reflected in a steady dividend increase and an increase in overall value over time, because the business is sustainable. They want to make a lot of money very quickly so that they can turn around and get out and put their money somewhere else that's going to be short-term profitable or whatever. It's just it's investment climate's so different.
Yeah. That's how everyone in the stock market I know says never keep stock for very long. Find what's big, buy it, or find what's small, buy it, wait for it to get big, sell it, and then move on. Find something else.
Shit can't sustain. It's already turned the game industry into this, as I've described it before, as this Rube Goldberg machine now. Just this convoluted, overly complex system that shouldn't even work, and somehow is finding ways to kind of work. I don't like it.
Yeah, of course. The underlying problem.
Thank God we have Kickstarter to subvert it.
We'll see about that. Yeah, you never know.
I've got one thing that'll be foolproof, though.
Oh?
Anyone investing, right, in
Uh-huh.
reality TV right now
Mm-hmm.
are going to see an immense amount of money over a short amount of time. Because we have on our side Gordon Ramsay.
Oh no, more Gordon Ramsay. Didn't you talk about him already today?
Oh, yes, more Gordon Ramsay. No, we talked about the restaurant, but I've got some more TV pitches for Gordon Ramsay.
For a new series for Gordon.
Yeah, as you know, every week, we've been doing it for years, we come up with new ideas for Gordon Ramsay, new TV show ideas, reality TV. It's a big thing, Jonathan Holmes.
It is very popular,
Very
or
popular.
hated. Yeah, it's a love or hate thing.
It is. And Gordon Ramsay is one of the hottest commodities in British and American television. He crosses oceans. So, 2 ideas for you. First one, Gordon Ramsay the two-faced twat. I am very excited about this show. It's set up in the same way, as many of these ideas are going to be. It's set up in the same way as Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. A restaurant is struggling. A restaurant is floundering. They're in debt. The customers are drying up. They need the help of the... Is it 14 Michelin stars now, man? Gordon Ramsay, award-winning chef, owns an empire. Help us, Gordon, please. Gordon Ramsay turns up. Promises them he's going to help them out. He does his usual thing. They think they're on Kitchen Nightmares. But things go a bit awry. First of all, he does his normal thing. Comes in, looks around the restaurant. Oh, fucking fuck. This is a restaurant, innit? Fuck. Sits down. Alright, I'll have the fucking Doritos on cheese. I'll have the fucking yogurt steak. And I'll have a fucking glass of wine. They bring the food out, and he eats it, and they're nervous. They're like, oh my god, he's going to hate this, He's like, I'll tell you what, I've eaten in some shitty pigsties in my time, and this is not one of them. That is fucking lovely. Make more of that. I don't need to change a fucking thing on this menu. Every time the server goes away, he looks at the camera and says, this is fucking shit. This is like eating a dog's anus cut out from the back of a dog and cooked on a blanket of bacon-soaked piss. Piss-soaked bacon, I meant to have said. I'm that fucking disgusted with this food. I can't even say things right. I can't even insult this. This is shit. Oh, she's coming back. I want more of this. This is lovely. This is probably the best dinner I've ever fucking had. In fact, it makes me want to give up being a chef, because I can't do better than that. Here is $5. Give it to the chef.
On top of him paying for the food.
On top of him paying for the food.
Wow.
Waiter goes and gives that to the... Or waitress. Or, well, we call them servers. Goes and gives that to the chef. He looks at the camera again and says, I fucking came on that $5. That $5 note, I smeared my jizz on that. He's gonna fucking touch it, dirty pig. He fucking deserves it and all, serving me this kind of fucking hot jizz. Oh, the pudding's arrived, thank fuck.
And he keeps eating it?
Oh yeah, he keeps eating it. He puts on a whole show that he loves this food. And then as soon as no one's looking, he's slagging it off to the camera. Two-faced twat.
People would love this show.
Yeah, he's absolutely not genuine about anything he's telling them. He's telling them they don't need help and everything, but they're like, oh, we're failing. And he says, well, what we're going to do, because I love this restaurant so fucking much, I want it to succeed, my darling. I want this to do well. I wish you all the best. He just looks at the camera just a little bit and just sneers. What we're going to do is, tonight, we're going to have the big relaunch. Tonight is the most important night at Chateau Le Bleu. You're going to tell them Gordon Ramsay's coming tonight. It's going to be a massive thing, a great big do. I'm going to be here. I'm going to hold a fucking raffle for my chef's hat. Come and buy a raffle ticket. If we call your number, you win my fucking chef's hat. And that's the first hat I ever had. It's like Scrooge McDuck's Lucky Fucky Dime. That's how much that means to me, and that's how much the success of this restaurant means to me. The camera follows them, like spends a whole 10 minutes of the show dedicated to following the owners and the staff throughout the day, really excited and just, they can't wait. This is their big relaunch, their big reboot night. Gordon Ramsay's going to be promoting it. He's brought in Dee Snider to help them promote it. Dee fucking Snider from Twisted Sister, my old fucking friend. He's only going to perform his famous song here tonight, Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
That's not him.
It is. Dee Snider's like, that's not me. It's like, what? You're doing Every Rose Has Its fucking Thorn, Dee.
That would sound terrible by Dee Snider.
Alright. Bring your acoustic. So, that's all going on.
Mm.
They're gearing up for opening. They open the doors, expecting to see everyone, but then they're really confused. No one's there. Across the road, a queue halfway round the block at their rival restaurant. And there's flyers, posters all over town. Gordon Ramsay hosts Chili Cook-Off Night at Chili House of Chili. He's across the street helping them out. The restaurant.
That's so mean.
The restaurant owner's talking to the camera. Just, I feel betrayed. He said he'd help us out. He said this was our big night. My wife's in tears, and he's in there. I can see him. Like it looks. I mean, I don't want to accuse him of anything. It looks like he keeps going up to the front window of the other restaurant, pressing his hands and face up to the glass, and just laughing at us. He's doing it right now, and the camera sort of pans across his shoulder, and you just see Gordon Ramsay stood at the front window of the opposite restaurant, hands flat against the glass, and his face, he's just, and someone taps him on the shoulder in the restaurant and says, "Oh, more chili? You damn fucking right, this restaurant's great." And he goes back to them, and the restaurant owner and Chateau Le Bleu is like, "Well, I'm not standing for this. He made a promise. He was going to be our saviour. I'm going over there." Crosses the street, goes over there, goes over to Gordon Ramsay and says, "What are you doing? Why are you serving chili to our enemies?" And he's like there, just got a giant spoon of chili, plopping it on people's plates. He's like, "What? Fuck off."
Whoa.
What are you doing?
I thought he was going to be fake nice and try
No. He says, "Fuck off. What are you doing? We said that we're doing the relaunch tomorrow. I've got to make money while I'm in town. I'm doing yours for free. So they paid me very generously to do this chili cook-off here at this restaurant." He said, "But I'm sure you said tonight is the night." He said, "No, tomorrow's the night. I've got Dee Snider. He's really excited." He looks at the camera and says he's already on a plane back to New fucking York. So we will.
Snyder flew in.
Yes.
Stayed in his hotel room.
Yep.
Just watched 2 If by Sea, starring that guy from Boston and Sandra Bullock.
Absolutely.
And then flew back.
To Long Island. And so anyway, obviously what happens then is the next night, we don't see the restaurant again. We just see Gordon Ramsay on a plane, hands behind his head, just laughing again, just and then another person on the flight taps him on the shoulder, says, "Excuse me, can you be quiet? You're really loud and waking up my baby." He says, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll give you $1 million. I'm Gordon Ramsay." He looks at the camera and just shakes his head.
I was picturing Rat's song "Come On, Feel the Noise" playing as he was doing his last cackle.
We can definitely do that.
Just felt right, because it's
almost
almost Dee Snider, but not quite. That would be one of the most popular television shows, if not the most popular television show of the modern era. Yeah. That would be the next I Love Lucy.
And every single week, it's just the same thing. Like Kitchen Nightmares is the same thing every single week.
People wouldn't get sick of that. People would not get sick of... Of course, the only problem, not to be a bring down, but once the show airs, no one's going to trust that Gordon Ramsay is doing a real show. They're going to think he's doing the Two-Face show.
Ah, but that's where we're clever.
Yeah.
We air Kitchen Nightmares. We film and air Kitchen Nightmares and Gordon Ramsay the Two-Faced Twat at the same time.
So no one knows which one they're going to get.
You just don't know.
And you want to try.
And Yeah, and you'll want to
Oh.
see season 2 then, because then the restaurant owners will be more savvy, and they're like, now, is this definitely the real Kitchen Nightmares? This isn't Two-Faced Twat. And he's like, yeah, absolutely, mate. I cross my heart, that was one season. What, you think we could get away with it a second season? I think not.
Well, and they'll be able to edit them differently. So for the Kitchen Nightmares episodes, they'll edit out all of the reference of people being nervous that he might be disingenuous or whatever. And then for Two-Faced Twat, just throw all that crap in there because that just adds to the entertainment value.
As he convinces them that...
Right. Exactly.
They're done with that series.
Much in the way Jonathan Holmes convinces us every week of various ideas for things that we should do together.
I don't.
That's true. Like, I mean, I wasn't even sold on the idea of turning him into a skeleton earlier on, but he makes a good case.
Persuasive. He's very persuasive.
He is a persuasive man.
I wonder if you did a Kickstarter for that, how much money you would get. So much money. I think you might get $2 million for that if you got Gordon Ramsay to do it. Without Gordon Ramsay, I bet you could still get like 200,000, 500,000.
Yeah, I need $5,000 to fly to Gordon Ramsay's house and ask him.
And then
People
about
would
$5
give
million
the money-
to deal with his lawyers afterwards.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens. People would be overjoyed. But I have to pee. Piss. I don't know. What's the manly word for it?
Tinkle.
I've got to, guys. Tinkle. Should we do the Podtoid questions? Because I don't want to get an infection.
Yeah, go on.
You'll get one if you don't pee,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you've probably heard about it.
I mean, that'd probably be the most benign infection you could have, given some of the ideas that you've got planned for us next.
I don't have any, no. I did want to talk about how EA tested the Frostbite engine on the Wii U and said, yeah, not good enough. So a bunch of Frostbite games aren't going to come to the Wii U, maybe. I thought that was darn interesting, but we're kind of out of time, and I've got,
Plus, it's the Wii U, so fuck it.
Yeah, I don't know how interesting that really is.
I thought because the Wii U, technically, from what I know, people who developed for it say it's a little more powerful than the PS3.
I think
it should be able to do.
I think just about everyone who's going to buy a Wii U is only going to buy first-party Nintendo games on it anyway.
Well, it wouldn't have to be that way, though. I'd assume if the games were there, then people might think, oh, it's a system that has those kinds of games. Maybe I'll play my games on that thing. Jim quite
Like the
enjoyed.
GameCube.
The GameCube was they weren't there. The third-party support wasn't quite there in the same way. You didn't get your Metal Gear Solids and your Grand Theft Autos on there. But Jim was playing the Black Ops 2
on there.
Yeah, that came quite after the fact, and then it was weird.
They got it, and it was in several ways the superior version.
And Yoshi was in it.
Yeah,
I liked it, but purists hated it. They already had that game.
No, they changed the voice acting. That was the only mistake that they made with that. Well, and adding those extra, like, badass move cutscenes. But
yeah, they kind of missed the point of Solid Snake as a character and what the series says about war. Apart from completely undermining the entire series message, Twin Snakes is great.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
But people already had that game. They wanted a new Metal Gear. They wanted Metal Gear 3. Instead, they got remake that's better.
So we're gonna have what a surprise! We're gonna have a Nintendo console that follows the trend of all other Nintendo consoles, except for the one that had an explosive,
People want a Sonny and Cher comeback tour as well, but Cher is dead.
But EA said, remember? They were like, oh, it's going to be an unprecedented partnership. Wii U, so good. Going to do things.
They say that every time to sell their launch titles and then run away. They do that with every system. Ubisoft does that, like, pathologically. They'll have, like, half a dozen launch titles for every new system just to try and make as much money as they can while the buzz is hot, and then they'll scurry away like they farted in your bedroom.
Well, do you think that EA doesn't want Nintendo to succeed? Do you think they care either way?
No, I don't think they care either way. I think they're too busy looking after themselves.
Sure. But do you think there'd be anything in it for them if the Wii U kind of dies
No,
out? And then
no,
or it?
no.
I think they would. I think if Nintendo, if like the Wii U disappeared from the landscape,
Mhm.
that would probably be viewed as a positive by a lot of the major publishers, who then no longer have to consider the expense of putting their game onto another platform for whatever reason. So I think that that would probably be viewed less competition among platforms is
Yeah.
a positive for the publishers.
Yeah, I can't help but imagine that
I
they
don't think
would
that's
want.
Wii U specific though.
No,
Oh
no,
no.
it's not limited to the Wii U though.
I mean,
Yeah.
they all say they want
It's just
one platform, one future.
Sure. So
right.
if they can, not anything personal against Nintendo, of course, but if they could be like, let's kind of encourage.
Well, they're the easy target right now.
Sure, they're the only one
There's
out
no
there.
conspiracy.
Oh no,
They're the
not
one
saying-
that you could set. They're the one that's not running with the herd, and that maybe we can separate off and slaughter quietly.
Yeah, that's kind of how it seems to me, and that they would want to have the console succeed that favors their business practices the most, and also is a place where they can really be a dominant force and control the direction of how games are developed, games are creatively seen. Games
Right.
get
I just think
sold.
it's
they can never be
more
the dominating
self-interest
force.
it's more self-interest than malice, though.
Oh no, no, never malice. I never ever think that malice gets involved in these business decisions.
At the end
That's
of
why
the
I'm
day,
always
if
People-
the Wii U was doing what the Wii did, then they'd be all over it.
sure.
It's not, so they're
So
not.
I realize again that it didn't extend beyond first-party Nintendo titles or the pack-in, whereby then after another 6 months they would all slink back into the shadows once more, never to grace the console
Yeah.
again in significant fashion.
And the only problem this time is Nintendo's forgotten to fulfill its end of this scenario and give us more games.
Yeah, I described the Wii U as a console that has unlaunched itself on Holmes with Sean Velasco of Yacht Club Games. You should watch that episode. Sean was good. Who else did he have on there? He had Waz and Aaron. That was fun.
Yeah, that'll be up.
Uh,
It's not up yet, but
Fun. Anyway, I should do those questions. Thanks for humoring my topic real quick, guys. Appreciate it. Mike Cosimano, who has, I should plug Mike. Mike has put a bunch of ditties. He put the Sup Holmes song and a short version of the Talking to Women About Video Games song up on Bandcamp for ringtones, and he was selling them, and I think nobody bought them, so now he's put them on for free. So look for that at Mike Cosimano on Twitter. Check him out. He'll show you where that is. He asks, what would you guys think if Activision started a Kickstarter for the next Call of Duty? What would you think? I mean, they could, right? Just, if you want to give us the money.
It would be a bold move. I think it would be a very bold move.
It's not that different from the podcast Kickstarter.
Well, no, it's not.
Close.
It's absolutely not. I would sit back and watch and be very entertained. I think realistically the response would be outrage on the part of the gaming community. Outside of the gaming community, I don't think you get a whole lot of participation in it in the first place. Because I don't. Well, I mean, maybe those people are doing Kickstarters now. I don't know, but I would think that the mainstream audience that relies upon Call of Duty would be largely unaware of the campaign without a lot of marketing expense, like major publicity, television, and so forth on Activision's part, which seems silly to imagine. But let's say hypothetically they do it for whatever reason. I mean, they would have to pour so much into getting enough people aware that wouldn't think it was a incredibly arrogant, just absurd thing to attempt. That I expect it would have to fail just by design. But
I don't know. I think a lot of people, if they made the rewards fun enough, and if they gave backers early access to the game, I think a lot of people would just be like, "Sure, I'm going to buy it anyway. Here's $60," because that's how Kickstarter works. In a way, it's just like the best pre-order system ever.
It really is an excellent pre-order system, and I'm to the point. It sounds kind of awful, but I have a hard time even taking Kickstarters seriously unless they're from a quantity that I'm familiar with. whether it be a group of designers who I've seen some of their work and I know they can deliver a product, or whatever. And in that circumstance, I know Activision can deliver a product. It's probably not a product I want, and I'm probably not going to buy into anything that but I would know absolutely without a doubt that if it got funded, it would get made.
Sure.
So
I have the feeling that's why the Shovel Knight Kickstarter did better than other Kickstarters of the same type, because these guys are legit. They've made games that people respect and enjoyed, and they know they can deliver. But now I'm getting off topic.
One of those. Well, but it's one of those things. Journalists, a lot of us, I think, have, or and the bloggers and the writers and so forth, everyone who makes up games media. There's been a real shying away from Kickstarter in recent months, I think.
Sure.
And because it doesn't always go as well as you hope, or this, that, and the other, and there's all of those risks associated with it. So we tend to only talk about them once they become a success, or when they're from people we know, and that's why we can spread those stories more quickly and get more attention on those, because they're established people, and it's easier for us to have faith that it's something that's going to be accomplished, accepted, or interesting to people.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Should I do another question? Or Jim, did you want to speak to that? I feel bad. Just kind of talked over you.
I think that my initial reaction to the question is what I would do.
Okay, just checking. Wisecracking, @Wisecracking on Twitter, asks, what would you like to see from the hypothetical John Carpenter Dead Space film? I was just reading about that before we started the show. John Carpenter, who, for my money, has changed over the years much more so than George Lucas or Steven Spielberg or other directors that people really had a worship for 20 years ago. He does not make movies like that anymore, but he wants to make a Dead Space film. I can't help but hold out. It would be better than no Dead Space film. Could be something, right? Maybe?
Why don't you just release a special edition of The Thing, slap a Dead Space logo on the front of the box, and everyone will be happier?
Well, that's the thing. He would want to make a Thing-like movie and The Thing was just kind of like Alien, except sillier and grosser and more fun, for me anyway. Though I respect Alien very much, I enjoy watching The Thing a whole lot more. Yeah, you would just have to make The Thing in space, which is Alien, and it would just be bad because he made Ghosts of Mars, and just the lighting. He forgot how to light a movie. It's all flat. Looks like a bad TV show. His later movies. It's weird. And of course, getting actors and characters to act in a way that's fun to watch just doesn't happen anymore either. But with Kurt Russell, could he save it? No, he can't even save it. I just remembered Escape from LA, which I kind of like. But again, in a made-for-Netflix, laugh-at-it sort of movie.
But that's a great side-by-side comparison. Escape from New York and Escape from LA, you can really see the difference between earlier John Carpenter and sort of where he was heading, at least with Escape from LA. He hadn't quite developed
difference,
yet.
Yeah, to me, people talk about George Lucas a lot because he had such an emotional impact, the way he changed as a filmmaker over the years. But John Carpenter, wow, that makes the prequels look like spot on, the amount he changed over the years. Jim, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm taking your time up before you could talk.
That's fine.
No? Nothing to report on that?
All I know is John Carpenter said he was stupid for buying Aliens Colonial Marines in an interview recently. He said something about how people are free to, buy things. It was something about, the misrepresenting of Aliens Colonial Marines, and he just said people have the freedom to buy what they want, like I did with Aliens Colonial Marines, stupidly. Which made me love him. I find Carpenter hit and miss. I love some of his stuff. Other stuff, like that one he did, I can't even remember the fucking name of it now.
What happened?
It wasn't it wasn't an older film either. It was part of the 3 films he did. The Thing was one of them, and there were 2 others that were not a trilogy, but thematically he puts them all together.
Prince of Darkness?
Prince of Darkness, that's the one.
Yeah.
It's not
that great.
I don't know what it is.
It's got some good parts.
There's some things about it that I really, really like. Like,
Sure.
what's her name? The short red hair.
Oh yeah.
She was also in Prophet, which was a 1996 series on Fox starring Adrian Pasdar. Lasted 4 episodes before it got canceled. They released it on DVD in 2003 or 2004.
My friend Flannel recently recommended Prophet to me.
I think you would find it very interesting. It's about a guy who's sort of performing a one-man corporate takeover of a major multinational corporation, like Johnson and Johnson, basically. He doesn't want to be. He wants to operate it from the shadows, and so he's manipulating people all left and right. It's very political. Has some early CGI in it that is special. But it was written by David Greenwalt, who later went on to co-produce Buffy the Vampire Slayer and write and produce Angel. So, and now does Grimm. So, yeah, I highly recommend people check out Prophet.
Ah, interesting. I had
Yeah, but anyway, so that woman is in it. Alice Cooper's in it.
Alice Cooper's in it. Yeah, he was worth watching.
Yeah, it's so weird, and they spend so much time on technobabble and just
it's weird.
drags.
It's weird in one of those uncompelling ways. Like, there's a way to do weird where it's just fascinating. It's like, David Lynchy type. Well, this is weird but really engrossing, and then there's a kind of weird that just alienates you because it's a weirdness that doesn't give a fuck whether you're enjoying it or not.
Well, it was just paced kind of poorly. Like, it didn't create any tension. It just was boring and stuff.
Yeah, it was just pleased with itself. It was just happy with its own thing, and it didn't matter that you weren't.
No, for me, Carpenter's all about Halloween. I like Halloween 2 as well. They Live, Big Trouble in Little China, and The Thing.
God, They Live.
They Live's probably
so
my
good.
favorite of his films.
So
It's
good.
so fucking shit, but
I love it so much.
in a glorious way.
Yeah, it is balls out. The beginning is just unbelievable that he thought it was okay to just spend like 25 to 30 minutes of just Rowdy Roddy Piper walking around being like, I don't really know what to do today. And then just showing a church with some people being like, there may be a problem later. You better get ready. And then Roddy Piper just in the doorway like, oh, this guy's got a lot to say. And just
It's kind
more
of like-
minutes of that after that. So many
It's
minutes.
sort of an homage to Kubrick, I think, what he's doing there.
Wow.
Just sort of dragging out the exposition over a very long timeline because you don't really have that much content in your story. Like, there's not all that much interesting that's going to happen, so you really want to space it out early on. Because once you get moving, you get that ball rolling down the hill, you can't stop it.
Then after that, it becomes incredible. As soon as the glasses show up, then it's like the best movie I've ever seen. But anyway, oof. Yes.
But you gotta fill 90 minutes.
Couldn't you just do 30 interesting minutes of him just not having
No, because then
backstory, he's got no friends,
if he'd have used that 30 minutes for anything else, he'd have just extended the fight scene some more.
Such a good fight scene.
It's fucking incredible.
David. Yeah, I love that movie a lot. Flaws and all.
We've got a professional wrestler. He's gonna roll around drunk in this alley for ever.
And they got him paired against Keith David. Nothing against Keith David. He's a strong-looking fella, but Rowdy Piper would kill him. He would kill him. Anyway, Christopher Suzak, who's Cruise Stack on Twitter, asks if any of us play a musical instrument. I don't think I know that about you, Jim and Conrad.
I don't. I played when I was in school. I tried to be in a band, and I played French horn.
Oh yeah, that's an instrument. You can play that.
And then I transitioned to trumpet after a couple of years of French horn, but I don't remember any of it really.
I'm sure it would come back to you.
No, probably not.
Like blowing into a bicycle. Just
No,
you remember.
and I'm not interested. I fantasized about learning keyboard, but
Oh, you
yeah.
could do that. It's like playing a video game. Playing an instrument is so much like playing a video game a lot of the time. And like a video game, it matters how much you enjoy it while you're failing. And if you're not having fun when you're failing, you're never going to get good at it. But if you can enjoy not quite getting there, but the process is still fun, then you'll get good. And you, Jim, you play nothing? You play something?
I'm like anti-music. Honestly, a friend once tried to teach me to just play a single chord on his guitar. Just one chord. He showed me what to do. I had my fingers in the right place, and then the second when it came to play it, just everything went wrong. I cannot do musical instruments at all.
Oh, but you're very good at video games. I've seen you playing them.
Yeah, there's something about music I just can't do, which is upsetting and frustrating because I love music.
Yeah, and you're a good singer too.
I would love to make music. I have tunes that come up in my brain that I think are incredible, but I can't communicate them. I can't do them. It's horrible.
I'm going to take my wild guess on you as, that sounded kind of weird. You seem like you'd be the kind of guy who respects music so much that if you started playing it and you did kind of badly, you would think, I feel bad for music. I'm like hurting music by doing a bad job of it and then just kind of drop it. But you could just make up a little tune on the Casio keyboard, just note by note, and record it, and then you've got a thing. You could.
I admire your ability to do that. Actually,
me?
yeah.
Oh,
it's just not
Yeah.
something. It's not something that comes naturally to me. For whatever reason, I will make up a song while around the house about whatever stupid asinine bullshit I'm doing at the moment. And I can swing that, but actually then putting the music behind it's like a foreign language.
Oh, you could do it.
I did
It's
once
just-
compose a song. I've forgotten it now. I forget all my songs. I did once write a song about Bruce Willis waking up one day and he's a baby. And I think the song, because it's been so long, but I think the song was criticizing Bruce Willis for being a baby.
That
Just
sounds great.
wondering why he'd do that and why that's now happening.
I hope you somehow put that together because I would find people. I'm sure someone out there in Podtoid land would love to help make that a real song. But my thing is I have an underlying disrespect for all music. I'm like, anyone can just do that. Whatever. You're just playing a thing. Oh, you're very good. Whatever. I can just play it too. Because my older brother, who I've talked about a little bit on the show, is incredibly good at electric guitar. And all he cared about was the technique. He would just listen to Yngwie Malmsteen and Jason Becker and other neoclassical guitarists and just care so much. And I just didn't think it sounded that much better than like the Ramones. I was like, the Ramones, I like those songs, and those guys are terrible at their instruments. At least at the beginning they were. So that led me to think that anyone who just tries and has fun in the process can make a thing you might like. And that's why there's the Talking to Women About Video Games album, which is on sale for $1 right now. I just remembered that. Anyway, questions? More? I gotta pee. I can do a couple more. A couple people who seem really desperate. Pablo Sansonetti, who's Veld Cardio, says this is the 11th time he's asked this question, and we've never answered it.
Oh, we better answer it then.
In 5 years, are consoles going to be more or less relevant than PC gaming?
I refuse to answer that question.
I will answer it with yes. No.
I think that in 5 years, the line will be blurred.
Yes.
So who knows?
Yes.
It'll be a different
Consoles
kind of thing then.
will be more or less relevant than PC gaming.
Is a console a PC now? Kind of. So what's the difference? Where you play it? Are PCs going to be attached to our TVs more? That's the difference?
Is a phone your house?
Yeah. Am I going to live in my phone? Is my phone my computer? Is my house going to be a phone?
Is my dog a spreadsheet?
Maybe it will be.
Can I eat my fridge and put little fridges in a giant taquito.
And then eat the taquito?
Eat the taquito and
Eat the
poo
fruit.
out a fridge full of little taquitos.
And then you could eat that taquito again.
And then I am the fridge. People will open me up and pull little fridges out of me. And inside the fridge, a game console.
Whoa. That
Circle of life.
I was just thinking about this next question this morning. I almost wanted to write a feature about it, but then I thought, that Toasty Base on Twitter, named Connor, he asks, why do you think Phil Fish is treated as someone who does morally wrong things when really he just responds angrily to hate? That's not entirely true. Phil Fish does come off as quite abrasive sometimes, as a lot of people who... Phil, from what I know, is the kind of guy who thinks after he feels and just kind of spits out exactly... that's why he's so interesting. He doesn't have much of a censor, an internal censor. And he feels bad about it later, and he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. He's apologized a lot for a lot of things. But I think it's really weird when people say, I'm not buying that guy's games because from what I can tell on Twitter, I wouldn't like him in real life, and therefore not going to enjoy the games. Like, if I only played games by people I like personally or dislike personally, it would be... I'd be playing a lot of weird games, a lot of different games, a lot of worse games, probably. A lot of people I love make terrible games and vice versa, so it's just not a good way to think. I don't think. What do you guys think?
I feel, I wouldn't want to presume, because I don't think Phil Fish likes us. So I wouldn't want to insult him.
I think he likes some of us, but there's some of us he does not like at all. No.
Yeah. So I don't want to presume.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I understand him.
Yeah?
As someone who is in, I have been subject to a lot of hate over the years. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has been my fault as much as anyone else's. And I think when I see the way he's been reacting lately, when he gets very angry with people and almost feels that it almost looks like he's seeking trouble. When he'll make a big public response and, tell trolls to eat it and tell people to suck his dick and we'll make a big show like when Fez was selling well on Steam and he was like, oh, eat it boycotters and stuff. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's a dick, he's asking to be trolled. But then later, he more recently sort of tweeted that he's sick of it and he's upset and he doesn't like that people are making him out to be this bad guy. And a lot of people are like, well, he's making his own problems. He's clearly doing this on purpose. He goes out looking for trouble, then gets upset when the trouble finds him. But as someone who's been in that state of mind, I find it very difficult to fault Phil Fish. Because it's hard to explain, really, but there is this... When you're subject to a lot of people insulting you on the internet, you become very reactionary to it. You want to fight back. And I think that's natural. I think anyone who feels slighted and insulted wants to lash out and fight back. And in the moment, it feels good to do. Mm-hmm. So good that you forget what the backlash to your backlash feels like. It's one of those things where it's so difficult to put this in words. It's one of those things that I totally understand, but have never felt like vocalizing before. But in that moment, you feel like there's no other way out of the situation you're in than to lash out at it and fight it. Always forgetting that you're fighting a giant scalding kettle. And this giant scalding kettle is calling you a twat, and you're punching the kettle and burning your hand every time. Mm-hmm. And you just get... The angrier you get as you punch this kettle, the more you want to punch it. Mm-hmm. Until eventually the hand is just a giant blister, and then the pain hits you. It all kind of, everything that's been building up that you weren't quite feeling while you were punching suddenly drops on you, and then you're, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
And I've
that
done a
sounds
terrible
about
job
right.
vocalizing it.
No, that was a perfect job. It is the fight or flight instinct. It is a primitive self-defense mechanism in the brain. The amygdala triggers, and you think, I feel threatened. And a psychological threat is no different than a physical threat to the subconscious. So you feel threatened, like you're going to get hurt. So you think, I'm going to fight back, and I'm going to hurt them before they can hurt me. And it's not something that goes through people's frontal lobe, because if you think it through, you would be like, that's not going to work. But it's a primitive reaction. We're all prone to it. We're all mammals. We all have that. But we're also human beings, and eventually we get to the point where we realize, most of us anyway, get to the point where we realize it's not working, though. I know some people who don't get to that point and then just get permanently pissed off and depressed and miserable. Yeah.
I've at least tried a lot more now to reach the point where I remember what it feels like to be in that, when you get into that cycle. Because you do, when you're in the cycle, you forget. It's so easy to forget. It's like the taste of jelly babies.
I've heard of those.
You have one or two, and it's great, and then you forget what three's like. Because that's a place of darkness and misery. And all I can say is, as someone who I feel like I've taken a lot more of a Zen approach these days, and I try not to get drawn out on Twitter, especially. It's a terrible place to argue. And I try and prize debate above all else. And the impact it has is incredible, because I mean, just a few months ago, I was getting migraines like every week. But these days, I've become so concerned with work, because I do something different every day now. I don't even have time to get into massive fights on Twitter, and if one starts, I found it so much easier to just let go, because I've got literally so much else to do. That I don't get migraines and freaked out and shit anymore. And I see people in my position, like other writers, fellow writers at the moment, who find Twitter very stressful to deal with, and they're in that situation, that cycle, and it's, you can't just tell someone not to do it. It's something they've got to get burned enough times to where they're like, I don't want to punch that kettle anymore.
I find it really cathartic to write the response.
That's part
I write
of it.
the response. I don't send it.
That's the problem people have,
and that's the trick. I can have the catharsis, and my ego's potent enough that I go like, yeah, I'm fucking right, and I know it. Screw you. I don't need to prove it to this guy that I'm right. I can write the response and say, wow, that's really well composed. I am one witty motherfucker, and then I can delete it and move on with my life.
Though I have noticed, Conrad, your comments on the Podtoid YouTube videos are their own show. And
they are.
I think people are going to come just for those comments. They are well measured, fair, non-spiteful, non-combative, but firm and direct and strong in responding to criticisms, such as shit suck, where to Max and Tara. You'll be like, interesting, shit suck, eh? Tell me more. You do very well with those.
Well, I want people. I want to elevate the level of discourse, and I'm not going to do it by lowering myself to that level. I would like to put forth in everything I do at least the standard to which I would like to receive conversation and reply. And it's astounding if you demonstrate to a lot of these people that you're like, I appreciate that you don't like this, but I wish you would find a more effective way of conveying why. They will do it.
Yeah, they rise to that level. Yeah,
they're not stupid.
It's nice to see that.
People think that they just don't care, and they don't think you care.
Right.
And I think if you show that you care, they are willing to be open to the idea of caring also, which I appreciate.
I've made fans out of haters doing that.
Yeah, me too.
Hell, that's part of the reason why Jimquisition is where it's at now. If I hadn't have engaged in feedback and valued what people have to say, even if they weren't saying it in the nicest of ways, the show wouldn't have got better.
and Phil Fish hasn't figured that out yet. If he really was the master strategist that people may think that he is, and come on, he spent 5 years working on basically a 2D platformer. He's not a master strategist.
And very nearly couldn't show it at a major event because of a disagreement with. Yeah, I mean,
the fact that he has succeeded, from what I can tell, given his lack of business acumen, and just that he's a raw nerve. He's a fireball.
Yeah.
He's barely, and he made a great game. I love Fez.
The trouble is, as well, is lately he's trying to make himself look like a master strategist. He's got the Kaufman avatar on Twitter and everything. And again, this is something I feel I could be totally wrong about him. I want to make that clear, but it's something I've recognized in myself over the years, in this idea that it's better to make them think that they're dancing to your tune than have them think they're doing it of their own agency. And it's, again, like Conrad said, there's a catharsis in that, in making it look like everything's happening according to your design.
Sure.
But the catharsis lasts literally a few seconds, and when you realize all it's done is encourage them to keep doing it even more, and even more guiltlessly, because now they're thinking, oh well, he's deliberately doing all this, let's give him what he wants. Then it, once again, the hand's getting burned and the catharsis is all but dried up, and it's so easy to get into that cycle, because it's almost like, it's exactly like heroin addiction. It's the broken promise. It's the chasing of the high, of the small high you had, that gets smaller and smaller every time, until you got to chain yourself to a radiator.
Is that a Black Snake Moan reference?
Could be.
That's a weird movie.
Phil Fish Moan.
That would be a pretty darn good movie.
We chain him to a radiator, but the radiator is also a smartphone, so it doesn't work.
Would he be Christina Ricci or Samuel L. Jackson?
Both.
I'd watch that in a second. Oh, Tommy Reffinus made a poster for The Witness. Jonathan Blow's The Witness. So while we're talking about Indie Game the Movie, people, everyone should see this poster. Tommy Reffinus is the programmer for Super Meat Boy. I didn't know he had this kind of Photoshop skill. His poster for The Witness is the best poster. Got to see it. Find him on Twitter. Tommy Reffinus. Watch to see his poster. We should plug our things, because I gotta go.
I'll plug your thing. Did you get that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Butthole?
Yeah, butthole.
Yeah,
you should probably just get a splint for his urethra, because at this point he's going to run out of capability to hold it.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm cross-legged. I feel all right.
Okay, I'll go first.
Please do.
I'll get through it quickly. What have I done? I can't do it quickly anymore. I reviewed Mars War. No one cares. Fuck it. I did Jimquisition on escapismagazine.com. This week is called...
it's got a long title.
Lawsuits, Memes, and Tasty Medicine, I think.
That's right.
It's a bit more on the Warner Brothers, Fifth Cell, Scribblenauts, Nyan Cat lawsuit.
Oh, the cat lawsuit!
The cat lawsuit, which you said would make a good Willem Dafoe movie.
It really would. I was picturing him suing a cat and being very serious about it.
But that went up, Jimquisition. Also, Jim and the Artsies Rhyme Down Spectacular this week. Is only on escapismagazine.com. You won't see that on the Destructoid front page, because it's a non-gaming one. So we're not just doing game ones on it. Both of our stories were Star Wars related, our poems, because it's Star Wars week on The Escapist. He did one about the Sarlacc pit, and I did one about the Star Wars bounty hunters. They're pretty good. Also, Movie Defense Force this week is also on The Escapist, and, well, I said it's Star Wars week. I will be defending a Star Wars film that people say is bad, dearie me.
I wonder which one it is.
Is it the Ewok Adventure?
I was just going to say that. Was it, it's Caravan of Courage is the first one, and the second one is called Battle of Endor. I think.
It will be a thing.
I can't wait to see it.
So what are you doing, Jonathan?
I am going to post the rerun of Last Sunday's Sup Holmes with Sean Velasco, who he's probably going to do a cameo in Teenage Pokemon Season 2. He loves talking to women about video games now. He's been writing me emails being like, I can't stop singing it, which I really didn't expect.
It's fucking addictive. Are you kidding? I get
don't
that
know.
song stuck in my head at least once a week.
I just
That's
listened
not
to
an
the album.
exaggeration.
I thought it sucked. I put out the album, and I thought all the guest songs were good, or good to great. But all the stuff I did, I was like, I'm sorry, everybody, but I got to do something. But it's been like a year, and I listened to it again, and there's some stuff on there I forgot I even did. I'm like, some of this is all right. Weird. I don't hate this. So anyway, yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's just $1. You guys should go get that thing. It's got like 37 songs on it. Jim, you have 2 songs on there. For Christ's sake. Did you know that, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love your songs.
It was a sad time.
I love them.
It was a sad time for music.
I was
Dark
really...
days.
I was listening to it last night, and when you were like, motherfucking Donkey Kong, I was like, this is good. He was inspired. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm off topic. The Sup Holmes with Sean Velasco, their animator for Shovel Knight, and their character designer and production art creator, Aaron. We did a podcast with them. We talked about why some Kickstarters do well and some do bad. We talked about him splitting from Way Forward. We talked about game design stuff. We talked about the worst Mega Man game, which we decided was Mega Man 4. We were on and on. It was very nice to talk with them. That should be rerun on iTunes and on YouTube pretty soon.
By the time people hear this, or shortly thereafter, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'll get it up on Detoid's front page as well. This Sunday, and I wonder if this is true. I hope so. According to the schedule, Richard Hoffmeyer, who created Cart Life, which won pretty big at the IGFs this year, is supposed to be on. I remember asking him to be on, and he said yes, but Richard Hoffmeyer, I've heard so many different things about him. For people who don't know, Cart Life is a game about different people who work at a stand or a cart just selling items like bagels or newspapers. And it's black and white. It's incredibly depressing, though still kind of cute and fun at the same time. A lot of people think it's the best game ever made, or at least one of the most touching games ever made. Made by this guy, Richard Hoffmeyer, who, from what I have heard, Richard Hoffmeyer isn't a real person. It's like a collective of people who each don the name Richard Hoffmeyer every few months and make some stuff, be it paintings, music, now video games, and then like in a few months he has to stop being Richard Hoffmeyer and someone else gets to be him. That's what I've heard. I don't even know if this guy's real, let alone if he's going to be on the show this week.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
This is what I've heard about Richard Hoffmeyer. I don't know if it's true, because I didn't ask Richard Hoffmeyer, but I don't even know if he really is Richard Hoffmeyer. He could be Dennis Quaid for all I know. I have no idea. So this Sunday, something will happen on Sup Holmes. 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, streaming on Twitch TV and on the Destructoid front page on Sunday. It might be Richard Hoffmeyer there. I hope so. And I think that's everything I'm doing.
Let's see. This week, I got some couch campaign going on. Actually, going up today, so you can go to Detoid and watch this or whatever. We're gonna put up. We're continuing Guacamelee, which has been a lot of fun. Enjoying that, but we're gonna sort of chuck in Captain Commando.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we played that
the
last
arcade
week.
game.
Well, the Super Nintendo port.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we played a session of that. I mean, that's just like one episode, really. So we're just throwing it in there, just so there's something new and fresh. And then we're also going to be releasing another Guacamelee episode today. So there's that, and then there will be some more Guacamelee on Friday for that. The question this week, we were asking what people were anticipating out of the Xbox reveal on May 21st. Got some interesting responses to that in the comments. But a lot of people seem kind of, I don't know, disinterested is the term, but people don't seem enthusiastic in the way that you expect, there to be some excitement for a hardware reveal.
That was in the responses, the comments, and in our video. Destructoid staff seemed a little and then everyone else seemed a little too. It was surprising.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they can show something that really sort of turns that around Because I mean, I fully expect that it's just going to be a whole lot of puffing. Look at all these great ways we're taking over the living room, and let's focus on games, and that just doesn't appeal to me. So you can watch the responses to that. I deep throat a banana, so all of the Podtoid listeners will enjoy that. That's at the end of the video. As long as you watch the ad in the beginning, I don't care if you cut ahead to the end. What do I care? And I think that's pretty much it for me.
I just remembered you also put up another Talk Fast with Electronic Superjoy people.
Oh, yes, that did go up, and there'll probably be another one that goes up on Friday again.
Oh, that's exciting.
I'm just saying, I think what I'm going to do is, as we have some of these things that are sitting around, I'm just going to put them out like once a week. And
good. That's good
work
for
through
me.
them,
To
yeah.
do. Yeah, so look
yes.
for those. That was a cute one.
Yeah, that one was cute.
Yeah, I like those people. And the game looks really fun, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I think that's it. Did we do a show?
Yeah.
We did a long show. I've been holding my pee for like 2 hours. Exciting and fun to talk to. That's why I keep coming back. And
People-
I
the people who
instinctively hit stop record. For some reason, I just, on instinct, just hit stop record. I'm recording again now, but there's going to be this weird cut halfway through, because I'm not going to edit anything to make it make sense for the listener. I'm just going to put it together.
Well, we talked a lot about games this week.
I
It's
know.
upsetting.
You started right in on it. Yeah, you're ready to stop.
Again, like I say, I mean, if people want to give us money on Kickstarter, we can get rid of the game talk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only there because we have to have it there. If we weren't, beholden to the fact that we were a video games podcast and therefore had to have video game content in there, if we could break away from that, we would do it. We would do it in a heartbeat.
That way, we wouldn't be relying on the bribe money from EA.
Exactly. But, we're going to need crowdfunding to make that a reality. And that's where you guys come in. Go spread the word. Give us money.
Yeah, if you donate $250, you get an MP3 of me going,
If you go over $500, I will retweet a photo of a cum tribute.
Whoa, a retweet?
Which you have to provide us, obviously, first. I think that's it.
Oh, no, I'm providing the cum tribute.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's worth twice the money.
I mean, it's not my cum, and it's not a photo of me. I will go on the internet, find a cum tribute, and then retweet it.
There's plenty around.
Yeah, that's what I will do if you donate $500 to the Podtoid Kickstarter.
You've got my money.
There you go.
And hopefully we've got your time next week, listeners.
Oh.
We'll see you next week, you juicy boys.
Oh, jeez.